served up good food to the people of the Southeast side.
Yeah, and today they called on the community to help one of their own. Samantha Gonzalez has helped her family-run taco shop her entire life. In August, the mother of two was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer.
It is something she said she's attacking head on, and today her fight got a little easier after a massive fundraising campaign there at Patty's Taco House. Samantha says the support from her family and friends is great, but the love the community is showing now is overpowering.
I've loved so many people that come in here. I've always helped out people in the neighborhood and stuff, and to feel the love back, you know, just to feel that I'm loved back. It's really amazing feeling.
Samantha says there was no set fundraising goal, and every little bit of help from the community makes a difference. She encourages everyone, no matter your age, to get a cancer screening.
Here's some more Thanksgiving preparations already underway. Some San Antonio Airmen were served a special Thanksgiving meal today by Mayor Ron Nirenberg, the Bexar County Commissioner, and a few other honorary Air Force commanders. They were serving up all the Thanksgiving and trimmings to 2,400 active and reserve airmen stationed there at Lackland Air Force Base. Those honorary commanders and other community leaders doing the serving of all that good food.
Well, we're riding the weather roller coaster, aren't we?
We are. I like the part that we started at the beginning of the week. I'm not so fond of this part.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as it was, though. It's still beautiful outside, but yeah, it's not cold.
No, it's not cold. This past week, we really have just been warming things up since we saw that cold front move in on Sunday. We're also starting to see the humidity work its way back into south central Texas, and because of the humidity, this was the scene outside earlier this morning. We had patches of dense fog develop here in Bexar County and pointing off to the east. It did slow some people out there on the roadways, and I do think that's going to be the theme yet again tomorrow morning and likely into Monday as well. So here's a look at those dew points again, how we measure the moisture in the atmosphere. In the 50s for most, not too terribly bad, but already as you take a jog farther off to the east in Gonzales, low 60s. We've got winds out of the south, and essentially what that's doing is just opening the door for this Gulf moisture to still pump in to south central Texas. So I do think that's going to be the theme here over the next several days. We're really going to see those dew points climb even more so, at least into the Thursday time frame before our next front works in. We see some cooler and drier air work in just in time for next weekend as well. But because of the humidity still on the rise, like we were talking about, by 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, we are expecting some more patchy fog to develop. So if you're planning on hitting the roads for church or just any breakfast plans with the family, plan on giving yourself a little bit of extra time out the door and take it slow. After that, we'll see whatever's left up there of the fog dissipate by the mid to late morning hours. Now, temperature-wise, we're going to start off pretty similar to what we found out there earlier this morning here in the Alamo City, around 60 degrees at 7 a.m. Mostly cloudy skies expected into the afternoon, though. I think we'll see a few more clouds out there tomorrow compared to what we saw earlier today. 71 degrees, the forecasted temperature at lunchtime. And then by about 4 to 5 o'clock, those temperatures climbing into the low 80s for us here in Bexar County. The farther north you go, I think some upper 70s look to be the theme. The farther south, low 80s, 82 in Pleasanton, 80 degrees in Devine, 77 in Kerrville, and 78 in Comfort. After that, here's that warming trend that takes over by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We're in the mid 80s. That's about 10 degrees above the average for this time of year. But then we see that next front work in just in time for next weekend. This is the setup with that, because it's not only going to bring us some cooler temperatures, but also our next chances for rain. So here's all this Gulf moisture that's in place by the middle of next week. At the same time, our winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere are going to shift in from the southwest, allowing some elevated Pacific moisture as well as upper level energy to start working its way into the Lone Star State. So when you combine that with the front approaching the San Antonio area Thursday and into Friday, that's when we have those chances for rain that return to the forecast. As of right now, it's a 30% potential, potentially upwards of about 40% into Thursday night. But we still have some details to fine tune when it comes to the exact timing of this front. Will it move in a little bit earlier on Thursday or wait until Friday? So it is possible that we bump up these rain chances a bit more in the coming days as we really start to hone in on when exactly this boundary is going to arrive. It's not going to be drought busting rain, but any little bit helps. This actually was the drought monitor last week. I'm going to fade on the new drought monitor. You can see good improvements from the rain that we saw in the last week of October. A lot of the exceptional drought that was in place in Bexar County in the Hill Country has been trimmed out of the area and replaced with extreme drought. So we still do have a long way to go when it comes to alleviating those drought conditions, but hopefully we will see some rain move in at least later next week. Until then, though, pretty dry and just warm and humid to wrap up the weekend tomorrow, guys.
Rain and not 80. That'd be great.
Yes,
Thursday.
Exactly.
We'll look forward to the end of the week. All right, Mary's here as we head to the end of the year very quickly. Some fall sports are trying to head to state.
Yes, it's really the best time of year because some of you may be celebrating a World Series championship. We have volleyball, we have football, we have it all. And the Antonian High School volleyball team is hosting regional finals action this morning. The Apaches have their sights set on winning it all this year, and we'll show you how they punch their ticket to state coming up. Plus, it's the final day of the regular season, and high school football teams throughout the state are sending us into the postseason with a bang.
Empty backfield. Howard looking. Howard scrambles. Howard lets it go. Incomplete. And Texas survives.
Upsets happened all throughout the college football slate today, but the Longhorns able to stay in the win column. More on that dramatic finish coming up in Big Board Sports. But first, the Antonian High School volleyball team is looking to get some revenge against Bishop Lynch, who knocked the Apaches out of the playoffs last year. It was a matinee start for this TAPS 6A regional final. Antonian won the first set, Bishop Lynch fighting back in the second set. That was Riley Seitz with the kill. But make no mistake, the Apaches in the driver's seat. Bella Rodriguez shows off her powerful swing for the point. This time, Kalina Calvillo with power and precision, and the Apaches claim the regional championship in straight sets. Antonian now with a chance to win their first state championship since 2017, something Anna Arsenault's family remembers fondly.
2017 when my sister was playing, she was a libero for the team, and it was just so much fun getting to watch them play and have that experience, and I really want that too.
What does it mean to you to, be following her footsteps?
I guess I always wanted to be like her and play like her, so just doing this, what she got to do, is just so much fun for me.
Next up for the Apaches, a state semifinal matchup against Ursuline Academy on November 10th in Waco. Today is officially the final day of the high school football regular season. Over at Alamo Stadium, the Lanier Vokes hoping to end the year on a high note, while the Burbank Bulldogs looking to get rowdy. And rowdy it was from the opening kickoff. Burbank fields the onside kick and comes away with it. That would lead to a handoff to Leo Lozano on the end around for the touchdown. Burbank won this one 31-27. The atmosphere for the 60th annual Frontier Bowl was a sight to behold. A huge turnout as McCullum and Harlandale renewed their rivalry. The Indians strike first. Jacob Saucedo fires a pass to Isaiah Hernandez, who turns on the Jets for a 35-yard touchdown. Then, after a fumble by the Cowboys, Harlandale's Roger Dominguez has a one-on-one matchup, and Saucedo puts it where only he can catch it for another touchdown, and Harlandale wins it 48-21. However you want to frame it, coming into the day, UTSA hadn't won a football game when visiting North Texas in 10 years. That's not a narrative the Roadrunners are interested in continuing. Running back Kavorian Barnes finding the end zone early. Barnes ran for 129 yards on 16 carries with 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, the UTSA defense forced 3 turnovers, including this Donye Taylor INT. Taylor returned it all the way to the red zone, and Barnes later punched it in. The Roadrunners win by a final 37-29, and with the win, UTSA is bowl eligible. Malik Murphy and the 7th-ranked Texas Longhorns found themselves in trouble after giving up a 20-point lead to number 25 Kansas State. With time expiring in regulation, K-State kicker Chris Tennant split the uprights to send the game to overtime. In OT, Texas salvaged a field goal on its first possession. K-State goes for the win instead of the tie, and the Longhorns defense gets a key 4th down stop to clinch the victory. 33-30, the final. Texas A&M trying to do the upsetting on the road at number 10 Ole Miss. The Aggies and Rebels exchanged touchdowns late in the game. That'll lead to Aggies kicker Randy Bond attempting a 47-yard field goal to try to send the game to overtime, but the kick is blocked. Xavier Harris got up for the initial tip, and A&M drops a heartbreaker 38-35 to Ole Miss. Oklahoma State upset Oklahoma. The Sooners are now 1-2 since beating Texas. Houston tops Baylor in a close game, and Texas State improves to 6-3 with a 45-24 win over Georgia Southern. Now later in the show, we're talking UIW football as they just suffered their first home loss of the season today, and we check in with the Spurs.
Kind of a wild Saturday.
Very wild for college football.
A very tense and stressful Saturday for a lot of us. Thank you, Mary.
Mia just wants us to move on.
I know, poor Mia. We'll be right back. Jinx.
4 restaurants with recent histories of high scores saw their September health inspection scores take a nosedive. It took, well, I stopped by this week to find out what was going on behind the kitchen door. Wing Daddy's Sauce House, located in the 10,000 block of Petranco, earned a 78 on their September inspection. The score was quite a drop from previous inspections, including a 98 in March and a 96 1 year ago. This time around, they had deductions for a walk-in cooler that wasn't working. They were told to stop using it until it was fixed. Clean plates had sauce residue, the ice machine had a black residue inside, and there was debris on the veggie peeler. There were several roaches and flies in the business that likely got in through a gap in the back door. It appears to have been fixed.
We have to reach out to our district before we can make anything else.
Okay, thank you so much. I stopped by this week to see if they'd made more corrections, but the manager was unavailable to talk. A re-inspection was ordered. For You, also in the 10,000 block of Petranco, earned an 80, which was an improvement from the 75 they had last time they were featured on BKD back in 2022. The business had made improvements since then, getting high scores on 3 previous inspections. This time, they had demerits for storing shrimp on the floor without any covering where employees were walking. The ice chute was heavily soiled. A worker was touching food with their bare hands. Candies and teas were found stored next to air fresheners and toilet cleaner. A re-inspection was requested. Himalayan Kitchen, located in the 5500 block of West Loop 1604, earned an 80. They had a perfect score on their last inspection. This time, though, there were gnats in the business and on the lid of a bulk food container. The hand sinks didn't have soap and one was blocked. T-shirt bags were used to store prepared foods. The business was also told to stop using unapproved pest control chemicals. Taqueria Estrella Jalisco, located in the 8800 block of Southwest Loop 410, also earned an 80. During their inspection, shelled eggs were temping at 95 degrees. They were told to keep them refrigerated. Employees were using gloves but not washing hands between tasks. Another worker was seen touching food with bare hands. The inspector left a long list of items to be corrected by their next inspection. That's what's happening behind the kitchen door. Tim Gerber, KSAT 12 News.
International news now. At least 157 people are dead after a massive earthquake sent shockwaves through the mountain villages of Nepal. Emergency officials say they only expect that number to rise as communication in several of those villages has been cut off in the aftermath. The U.S. Geological Survey says the earthquake registered at a 5.6 magnitude and happened more than 10 miles underground.
Around America, an international manhunt was launched after a missing woman was found dead at a Boston airport this week. This is Kevin Kengeth. The Massachusetts State Police say he got on a plane to Kenya after Margaret Mbutu was found dead at Logan International Airport on Wednesday. Police say the pair knew each other and that the woman's death was not a random act of violence. Massachusetts officials and Kenyan law enforcement are now looking to find him.
The age of getting paper statements could be over for Citibank customers. Customers say they're getting warnings from Citibank saying they'll lose access to their online accounts if they don't go paperless. A Citigroup representative says it is part of a beta program and was only rolled out to some customers. More banks and credit card companies have pushed customers to go paperless, which is good for the environment and costs companies less money. Roughly 2/3 of credit card customers do subscribe to paperless billing. Working all summer to reach a goal in the winter. Coming up, we take you inside a warehouse where Christmas never ends. Christmas is still almost 2 months away, but little elves have worked all summer long to put the holiday magic in a box. The Night Team's Patty Santos takes us to Reindeer Trail, where Christmas happens all year long.
All those gingerbread shingles and chocolate Kris Kringles.
There's a place in San Antonio where the Christmas songs never stop.
This is our production area. Just a bunch of elves, very busy walking away.
Covered in glitter and garland, these elves have worked all summer long, putting the holiday cheer in some of the most luxurious homes and hotels in the nation.
We've had some products in some Hallmark movies in the past, so that's been really, really exciting.
Caroline Pueller, vice president of Seasonscapes, can't say their names, but says her trees have graced the homes of some famous clients.
Ornaments!
Pueller lives and breathes Christmas 365 days a year. And it all starts right here in a San Antonio warehouse.
So we have different stations that work. So, we'll have one person that's making all of the bows and the loops, ribbon loops for the trees. Then we've got Liz here doing all of the branch displays.
The warehouse could be mistaken for the North Pole with lots and lots of ornaments. So far this year, more than 600 Christmas trees and thousands of garlands have been trimmed and shipped. And for customers, it's as easy as opening up a box and fluffing and shaping the already decorated tree. Ready in 10 minutes.
I think the biggest tree that we've built this year is 24 feet, and we've done 2 of those already.
You're in awe, and I know what you're thinking. I want to try that on my tree.
Do you ever do classes? Because I feel like I could take a class and a lot of people would love to be able to know how to do something like that.
You know what? I don't. We have started doing a little bit of that on Instagram. Just a few tips as we coming up to the holiday season.
Her trees will bring Christmas magic to many local bank lobbies and hotels on the Riverwalk. Pueller says if you spot one, know there's a little elf magic in each one.
There's a team of people that lovingly put that together, and it's not easy.
Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
I just want to say, I bet that's a real treat to work there when it's 110 degrees.
I was going to say the mentality, the dedication and the discipline you have to still be Christmas spirit whenever it's in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
That is very impressive.
Well,
to
good
say
for
the
them.
least.
That's cool.
Yes, it is very, very neat. All right, so a little bit warmer today than what we saw this past week. Briefly dipped into the upper 50s very early this morning before the fog settled in. We had a high temperature of 80, so it's about 4 degrees above the average for this time of year. A lot of us climbing into the 80s, just some 70s up to our northwest in the hill country. 75 in Rock Springs was the high today, 77 in Kerrville, but a bit warmer, especially down the I-35 corridor. It was 85 earlier this afternoon in Cotulla. Now, as we look ahead to the back half of the weekend tomorrow, very similar to what we saw today, topping off near that 80-degree mark. And then after that, that warming trend takes back over, pretty dry before we see some some cooler temperatures work in just ahead of next weekend, along with a few rain chances. So once again, we'll get you a look at that setup and talk all about it coming up in just a few.
I was so excited to enjoy that cold weather the other day on Monday. I went for a walk with the dog, but didn't look at the weather and then got caught in the cold rain.
I did the same thing similarly. It was like, oh, we have time to take my daughter out for a walk and beat the rain. Torrential downpour. At least she was hysterical.
I like that.
I like it too. Okay, good.
I am one of those meteorologists that will preach to everybody, don't forget your umbrella. And then I will forget my umbrella whenever I am going outside. Okay. I'm like, okay, well, I hope all of you remembered your umbrella because I certainly didn't. Anyways, yes, it was so nice to have some cooler air earlier this past week, but since then, we have just been warming things back up pretty much each and every day. Now, looking ahead, as we head into your Sunday, it's going to be a very similar day compared to what we saw earlier today. So some patchy morning fog, a high temperature topping off near about 80 degrees. And then after that, we're still going to warm things up into next week before we see that next front work its way in. The humidity is going to build as well. And speaking of that front, it does look to arrive in south central Texas later in the week. Right now, it's looking like the Thursday to Friday time frame. Yes, it will bring some cooler air, and it also is going to bring some rain chances to the region as well. But I do want to talk about the mugginess, the humidity that's just going to continue to climb over the next several days. This is the reason why. We've got an area of high pressure at the surface anchored off to our northeast. And with where we're positioned in relation to that high pressure system, winds at the surface are coming in from the south. So that essentially opens the door for this Gulf moisture to stream into south central Texas. And you can see as we head into the overnight hours tonight and by wake up time tomorrow morning, dew points are going to climb just a little bit more. Still not crazy oppressive, but those dew points are expected to meet the actual air temperature, waking up to the upper 50s and low 60s as well. So when we see those two numbers come close together, that's when the air saturates and we start to see that fog form. So do plan on giving yourself a little bit of extra time first thing tomorrow and in around the San Antonio area for some patchy, dense fog is expected once again. And we're going to start off around 60 degrees here in the Alamo City. Mostly cloudy skies into the afternoon, 71 at lunchtime, and then by about 4 p.m. our daytime highs topping off near that 80-degree mark. Winds out of the south at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Pretty similar as well temperature-wise, even off to our south tomorrow afternoon. Low to mid 80s expected south of Highway 90, and then the farther north that you go, mid and upper 70s look to be the theme, especially across portions of the hill country and the southern Edwards Plateau. Warming up by an extra degree on Monday, around 82. Then here come the mid 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, that's about 10 degrees above the average for this time of year. But by Thursday and especially Friday, that's when we're expecting that next cold front to work its way into the region, bringing with it another batch of some cooler air. So here's that setup. High pressure swings across the Lone Star State in the coming days, which is why rain chances don't really show up until late next week. After that, we see an area of low pressure approach the Four Corners region. That helps our winds here in the upper levels of the atmosphere shift in from the southwest. So that's going to allow some Pacific moisture to work into the state of Texas, along with some pockets of upper level energy. Combine all of those things together with this next front working into the region, and that's what's going to spark up that next chance for rain as early as Thursday and lingering into Friday and potentially even the weekend as well, as we start to see another batch of some energy work across the region too. So that's something that we will be monitoring in terms of the exact timing of when this front is going to arrive, something to check back in on here in the days ahead. Looking forward to some cooler temperatures on the backside of that front as well, because until then, it is still going to be warm. Again, we talked about afternoon highs in the mid 80s, but also noticed your morning lows working their way through the 60s. So we're really going to start to notice some more of that humidity, especially by the middle of next week, guys.
Okay, Mia, Tim, Courtney included. Got your umbrellas out just in case.
Just in case. I need to put it in my car so that I know. Good reminder.
Just walk around with it.
I'll forget because I already forgot. All right, Mary, the Roadrunners did something today that they haven't been able to do in Denton since 2013.
It's been a while, and I think a lot of the players didn't really care about that fact, but nonetheless, the football team made it happen. A 5-game winning streak and handing North Texas a loss this afternoon puts the Roadrunners at the top of the AAC. And the Spurs are back home after going 2-1 on their West Coast road trip. The team reacting to Victor Wembanyama's performance thus far. The UTSA football team used its rush attack to break the program's streak of losses in Denton that dated back to 2013 with a 37-29 victory over North Texas this afternoon. If you ask the team, they weren't concerned about that winless streak, but I'm sure they're pleased to have the monkey off their back. And more importantly, the Roadrunners have become bowl eligible. UTSA has now won 5 straight games, and the Roadrunners sit atop the AAC standings with a 6-3 overall record. Next, the team hosts Rice on November 11th at 6:30. UIW hosting Nicholls State for its regular season home finale. Zach Calzada is back starting for the Cardinals after missing the last 2 games with an injury. There's a nice toss-up that set up a UIW field goal. The Cardinals led 10-0 after 1 quarter, but spent the rest of the game playing catch-up. And Nicholls State went on to upset UIW 45-32. Now, Trinity stays perfect in conference action with a big road win today. Trinity closes out its regular season next week at home versus Hendrix. The San Antonio Spurs won 2 road games over the course of 3 days in Phoenix, and now the team is home awaiting the arrival of Toronto. The Raptors are 0-2 on the road so far this season, but have won 5 straight games against the Spurs dating back to 2020. 5 games into the season, the Silver and Black are already reaping the benefits of 19-year-old Victor Wembanyama, who recently dropped 38 points on the Suns this past Thursday.
He knows how to move on to the next play. I think that's some things with young players, they get a little timid, but you can tell with him he's so calm, moves on to the next play very well. And yeah, you see him watching film right now. He's just that kind of guy.
It was good just to watch, man. As a basketball fan, just to see that, and him being on my team, that was dope. Him it just seems so effortless, if that makes sense. Like just him getting to his spots. I feel like every time he shoot the ball, he don't see nobody. He just see the rim. It's dope. It's dope watching it.
NBA fans around the world agree with that. The Spurs and Raptors tip off at Frost Bank Center tomorrow at 2:30, and we'll have all of your coverage during instant replay tomorrow night.
Another fun one coming our way. Thanks, Mary.
38 points, Wemby. We'll be right back.